Hey Joe,
Hey, what's up, Mark? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely nice to meet you. Where are you coming out
Awesome.
of?
I'm in Marina Del Rey today. We have a place we divide our time between Miami and Marina Del Rey and try to stay away from Florida in the summertime. So we're out in Marina Del Rey with some nice 70-degree weather here in Southern California.
Okay, cool. Good for you. Those
Where
are,
are you at?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, landlocked.
Oh, nice. Okay. Kansas City. I love Kansas City, man.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, people usually have good feelings after they come through here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I just finished watching my wife and I I think it was Netflix. I'm not sure. The Peyton Manning produced. It's called. I think it was called The Quarterback or something, and had
Yeah.
Mahomes on there, and it was really good.
Yeah, I actually went to camp last Tuesday, and I always take my son up there at least once a year. For some reason, I was honing in on Mahomes, and man, he talks. He was out there, he was all over people, like, and it was, I just had my camera and I was doing it, and he was just dinging everybody. You realize, and I saw firsthand why he's the leader that he is, because he is in the middle of all of that.
Yes. Oh, now, and that documentary really showed it. He
Yeah.
was just talking nonstop, man. It was
Uh-huh.
great.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, well, hey, are you comfortable diving in?
Absolutely. Let's do it, man.
Okay, cool. So first and foremost, thanks for taking a minute out, and I want to begin everything here with COVID. We all lived through quite a thing for the last 3 years. How did you get through that time period, and how has it changed you now that we're in this kind of post-pandemic era of our lives?
Yeah, it's interesting because COVID, of course, for many people was obviously incredibly challenging for all of us. There was some good that came out of it, and particularly for us, I think one of the biggest things that came out of it that was positive for us is it really forced us to expand our virtual platform. Prior to COVID, everything we did was face to face, and we really didn't even have a virtual option. So it really forced us to adopt something that, while face to face is preferred, in a group setting, we found that the virtual environments are incredibly effective. So it's been a blessing for us in that regard, and that we've expanded. Now it's also led us to expand all over the country, and desire us to expand all over the world. We actually have people in our groups from other countries around the world as well. So that was the biggest thing, was forcing us into a new platform,
Yeah, and
or
I think it did it
expanded platform. Yeah.
for sure. Well, I mean, even with what we're doing now with Zoom, I mean, I mean, it's rather groundbreaking, and it just blew up over that time period.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know so so let's get to the essence of exactly what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. One of the
Yeah.
kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I do mergers and acquisitions work, also known as investment banking, also known as many other things. To keep it really simple, what we do is we work with business owners who have a business that's valued somewhere between 20 and $200 million, and they either want to acquire a company, sell their company, or partially sell it. They hire my company to manage that process. So it's a long 9 to 12 month process, and people hire my company to do that. And that's my day job, if you will. Which then, my passion, of course, is Unravel Groups, the nonprofit that I'm really passionate about and spend a lot of my time on.
So talk to me about Unravel.
So Unravel Groups is a nonprofit that was started about a year ago as a nonprofit, but was in existence about 4 years prior to that. So the first 4 years of Unravel was spent testing, refining, tweaking this group environment that's designed to help men build their leadership and the pursuit of excellence in a small group environment. So after testing it and refining, have about 100 men go through it. A year ago, we launched the 501(c)(3) to then scale it. And now we're scaling all across the world, mainly in the US at this point, of course. But our goal is to reach 1 million men in 10 years and have them, engaged with Unravel in some way. And it's really built around this idea, Joe, that, or my experience certainly, is that most men feel stuck in some area, regardless of how successful they may be in one aspect of their life. There's still one area where they feel stuck, at least one, sometimes more. And group environments are the best way to not only make transformation or experience transformation, but to sustain the transformation. So Unravel Groups is designed to create this curriculum, this environment for men to do that.
And men always tamp everything down. We just hold it and
Right.
we just
Right.
squat,
It's so true.
you
So
know.
true.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're kind of seeing that, as good as Kelsey is, Kelsey blows, and like lately he's been getting into fights and
I saw that the other day. Yeah.
y-
Big, threw a punch at one of his teammates.
yeah. You know what's weird? I don't really I don't follow him that close, but I watched him walking down to the camp the other day, and there was just a vibe about him that was just different. It just I don't know. It just seemed like his mind was somewhere else. And I think that, there could be a part of him that's he's won a couple Super Bowls, he hosted Saturday Night Live, he's hobnobbing with all these celebrities, he had a big music fest here. There's an ego that goes into it, and it could just be something that needs to be checked out now.
Well said. That you could be onto something with that.
So, but anyway, it goes back to your whole thing. Men, we just have that thing where, we just tamp it down until we have to deal with it. We're just different creatures. So,
Yeah, and so many of us never really have an environment or a venue for really teaching us critical skills like conflict resolution and communication. And what does it even look like
yeah,
to pursue excellence in all aspects of your life uh, instead of allowing the people around you, not intentionally most of the time, but instead of allowing them to keep you in status quo,
yeah.
and mired in mediocrity. So yeah, we're excited about it.
So, when you were in the third grade, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A lot of different things, but mainly a football player.
Okay.
That was my big thing, to be a professional football player. I played football from 6 years old. I think six is when I started, all the way through high school, and was really focused on that. That's really what I wanted to do. And then starting in high school, I started really accumulating a fair number of injuries. Broke my wrist, had to have wrist surgery, broke my collarbone, and I ultimately had an opportunity to play in college, and elected not to, mainly because the injuries had just started to pile up, and that was hard, because
Yeah.
that was really what I wanted to do and be. And as these things generally work, it all worked out for the best. But that was my third grade dream, to be a professional football player.
So, along with the football, let's go back to the beginnings. Where were you born and raised, and what were these seeds that were put into you to be into business and and be in finance and to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, and when I tell the story now, Joe, I tell it like when I was 5 years old, I started my little business, but obviously it wasn't. I don't remember how old I was. Maybe I was 13 or 12 or something. I don't remember. But I find the older I get, the younger that age is, that I actually that the way I tell the story. But I started a little lawn care business, which of course early on was just me. And man, I was hustling, cutting yards, and I was cutting a lot of yards in the summer times, and uh, doing some other kind of adjacent, yard activities, or yard jobs to generate income. And I really was kind of onto something, because I did that all through graduate school,
Wow.
and it worked out fantastic. So all my other friends were working at, fast food place or something, which is great, and you learn a lot. But monetarily, they were not making near what I was making, and I was learning a lot of hard lessons, that were going to, I think, inform and pay off for me over the long term. But that was a really important, I think, part of my development, was that little yard care business I had.
Yeah. Who's been a hero for you in your life? Who's been an inspiration?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've had so many, and I think, broadly speaking, I want to use a category first, and that's mentors. When I finished graduate school, I started to encounter some men who started investing in my life professionally. Not something that I'd really experienced before, and it was a kind of a new thing for me to see someone just investing in my life without a quid pro quo. So I'm going to start with that big category, rather than a person, of mentor, because I feel like it's something that really gets overlooked, in the sense that people hear it a lot. People tell people, you need a mentor, you know, you need to go get a mentor. And people go, yeah, I need that. And they'll make a couple calls, they'll call a couple people. They may have lunch once or twice, but they don't really have a sustainable program for engaging in that kind of relationship. And so I find that most people just don't have a systematic way or even know how to begin that process. So for me, it was completely just fortuitous that I had, a number of men that started investing in me, and I didn't understand at the time, how valuable it was and how important it was. But then I realized after a few years, man, these guys have cut years off my professional learning curve and other aspects of my life learning curve and made just a huge difference. So I didn't know that, but that was planting the seeds for, really what I've been up to for quite a long time now, which is really passionate about investing in younger men. And younger doesn't necessarily have to be age, it can just be a season of life that they're in. Investing in younger men to help them move the ball down the field. So I'm going to kind of stick with that out of the box answer of mentors, because I think it's just so important for people to focus on that, for men to focus on that particularly.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about if you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Oh, wow. Anybody alive on the planet right now, who would it be? It's a good question. I haven't really put much thought to that. There's so many people out there I admire right now. Hmm. Anyone on the planet. I think about sports stars that I would love to sit down with. I think about musicians I would love to sit down with. I think about, men of faith that I would love to sit down with. Someone that really would have that I think would really be interesting to sit down with right now would be, Tom Brady. His
Yeah.
his journey and his pursuit of excellence has been so uncommon in the way he's pursued his craft and excellence. So he would certainly be one that I would love to sit down with and just kind of unpack that and get more information behind that to help not only inform my own life, but what we're doing at Unravel as well.
It's interesting. I actually went to the NFL draft here in Kansas City, and
Yeah, I
the
forgot
it
it was there.
yeah, it was cool. And the fourth day, we saw the last pick, and someone I was there with was a Brady fan, and they were like, "You realize Tom Brady was picked this low? He was like way, 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 way down
Yeah,
there."
yeah. I think the sixth round maybe or something like that, if I
Yes.
recall. It was, yeah, he was way low. It was
Yeah.
shocking. Yeah, and yeah, it's so crazy to look back that now to think about all the teams that passed on him.
Yeah. 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 Well, there's a local community college here. It's actually up north called Maple Woods. Albert Pujols, that's where he started. He went there.
Really
And he
interesting.
was just some guy that was trying to probably get an education without breaking the
Uh-huh.
bank, and he became the best player,
Yeah. That's
in Cardinals
incredible.
history. One of
Yeah,
them.
you never know where the journey is going to take you and how it's going to ebb and flow. And it's fun to look back like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, as a football fan, if you could go back in time and witness one moment in football history with your own eyes, what would you have loved to have seen?
One moment. Um, I think, and having been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which was fun, my oldest daughter and I went on a little trip one time there, which was a lot of fun. I think it would be the first Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
I think just to go back and experience the history of that would be, or experience the moment there, because they had no concept of what it was going to be today. So to be here today and to see what's transpired, and then to be able to go back right now and see that first game in light of what the future was going to hold, I think that'd be awesome.
I think it was the Chiefs in Green Bay, I believe.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. So we had a stadium that's over by our jazz district, 18 and Vine, and there's a shrine up there. And they always say that's where it's at. My dad showed me pictures, and it was just a small place. Like you said, no one had any idea. It was a
Mm-mm.
neighborhood, kind of
Yeah.
thing like Ebbets Field.
Yeah.
And that was where the dream started.
Yeah. 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 That's right. Yeah. And look at it today. It's
Yeah, I
incredible.
know. It's global. Yeah. It's a bit one of the biggest events ever. Um,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this. All of these people that we've talked about, Tom Brady and all these others that have all these motivators, what is that for you? What gets you out of bed? propels you through a day? What is the mission that makes you achieve?
Yeah, that's an important question, and it's certainly one that I think all of us could spend more time reflecting on. That's for sure. I think for me, it's undoubtedly, unequivocally very clear. For me, it's waking up every day and thinking about my relationship with God and wanting that to be a positive reflection to those around me. Or said another way, my hope and desire is that the life I live is different in some way so that other people would be drawn to ask questions. What does that look like? What does that mean? And at least grapple with the big questions of life instead of focusing on um, what appear to be the big questions that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, which are the problems
Yeah.
that come our way instead of the big questions of life. I love Fred Smith. I can't remember where I read it, but the founder of FedEx, Fred Smith, had this great way that he would separate um, to help deal with anxiety. And he had basically the way he phrased it was, if it's something that you can't do anything about, that's not a problem. That's just a circumstance that there's no point in burning up your brain cells on it, but focus on the things that you can actually do something about. So I think the way that we go about living our lives and what it says to other people is important. And for me, and clearly I get that wrong a large percentage of the time, and it's still what drives me every day when I wake up. And of course, the impact that has on my family and the people that I love and my friends and people around me is huge.
That's one of my favorite business stories. I think he was at a point where he didn't have much left and he went to Vegas and gambled and he won enough to keep going.
And I think if I recall it, I think it was him. He actually did a paper in college or graduate school, one of those two, on the business. I think got like a C minus or something, if I recall. I can't
Yeah.
remember, but it was like a bad grade on this thesis, this business that he wrote, paper that he wrote, that ultimately ended up, of course, being an incredible success story. It's so funny the way those things work out.
Did you ever see Air Jordan, that the show about the shoes?
I did with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. That
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
So Phil Knight was the kind of the same thing. He's sitting there like, you guys better know what you're doing. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm putting a lot in, but it's weird to think that they were just a running shoe and then overnight,
yeah,
like who would have thought the Jordan?
yeah.
Because I remember seeing that in that The Last Dance, and that he was like, Jordan was
Yes.
explaining how all of the guys were at Converse, Magic and Larry and all those guys, and who no one thought Nike was. They were a running shoe. They were weird looking, and then there you go. It just made a franchise.
I know, and I actually didn't know that they were, originally just a running shoe, because
Yeah,
it's been always so associated with, Michael Jordan. It's so interesting. Yeah, it was an interesting movie to watch.
yeah, yeah. It was cool for sure. So
Yeah.
speaking of success, what's been your best client success story? One that puts a smile on your face.
Mm. I don't know if it's the best, but one that puts a smile on my face was when we're working on deals with clients, we always tell them, hey, we're in this with you until it gets done. In my industry, it's very common um, that if a deal becomes challenging or gets hairy or there's some problems along the way, it's common for investment bankers um, to just say, "Hey, I'm not going to continue working on the deal," and it's certainly their prerogative to do that. There's no obligation for them to continue on. And most of our deals take 9 to 12 months, but we had a deal a number of years ago that took 10 years from beginning to finish. And we weren't nonstop activity on that deal for 10 years uh, because the company went through some challenges. They went down and they had to recover some. But the point is that one of our themes has been perseverance. We're going to stick with you until it gets done. And sure enough, it was 10 years later and we got the deal done. So that's certainly one that we're proud of and certainly fuels us to continue the journey of perseverance on the deals that we work on.
So if you had a dream tonight, you run into a 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this
Yeah,
point, what would you tell that young version of you?
I would tell that young version two things. First, I would say you need to um, substantially, you need to significantly increase your curiosity about all aspects of life, but certainly you need to increase, you need to develop the curiosity muscle as it relates to interpersonal relationships. You need to get way more curious around why are the people that you're talking to, you're in relationships, curious as to why they feel the way they feel, where have they come from that's informing how they behave and act and communicate. So that would be number one. The second thing would be you can have almost anything you want, Mark, but you can't have everything you want. So you have to learn in all aspects of your life, financially, relationally, everything. Faith, family, friends, fitness, finances. Those are the five areas that we like to think about. I like to think about in terms of these things is you got to make trade-offs. You get to choose based on your values in your life, but you can't have everything. And so many people are, they haven't necessarily put words around it that way, but they're trying to live their life in a way that they can have everything instead of realizing you have to make trade-offs. If you want to take that nice, fun trip, maybe you're not buying the brand new car. Maybe you're going to have to buy a car that's a few years old, for example. So I think those are the two biggest things. I would go back and tell my 20-year-old. So there'd be a lot of other things, but those are certainly two of the big ones. There's a lot of
So
things I needed to know at 20, that's for
yeah,
sure, that I thought I knew. That makes it even worse.
that's it. I understand, believe me. So what are you the proudest of that you've done so far in your life?
Yeah, I think I'm the proudest. I know I'm the proudest of my family. I think this my family, my wife and our two daughters, and now two son-in-laws. I'm incredibly fortunate. Both of my daughters got married last year to wonderful men that I love and enjoy spending time with, and who are just great compliments to them. And I'm most proud of the family unit that we've built collectively over time. And within the framework of that, Joe, I think I would be. I mean, there's so many. I always hate narrowing down to one thing, but one of the things that I'm grateful for is resilience. Life is hard. We all know that. Life is challenging. Things are going to come our way. There's just no way around it. It's just the nature of life. And having a family that embraces resilience and a desire to grow and to move the ball down the field, I think that's certainly one of the things that I'm most proud of.
So everyone out there has a perception of you. There's all these pockets of people, family, friends,
Hmm.
clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Hmm. Uh, wow, it certainly varies on a regular basis. Sometimes I'm a better version of myself, and the better version of myself is more patient, than I am when I'm not the better version of myself. I'm more curious when I'm the better version of myself. Uh, I'm I'm consistent in whether I'm a better version or not a better version of empathetic. That's something that is surprising to a lot of people who don't know me well, is I have a high degree of empathy. I tend to feel and take on, how people around me are feeling in the moment and the challenges they're experiencing. Um, I feel pretty consistent in all versions of myself, that I am always seeking to grow, always seeking to develop, in ways that I haven't in the past. And I feel like with a growth mindset, I feel like that's one of the most important things, particularly if you can allow it to, permeate all aspects of your life. And of course, there are times when I'm lacking in that area in one aspect of my life, and excelling in another area of my life. But I really think a growth mindset is so important, because it always pushes you to recognize that there's more for you to grow and get better.
So, Mark, if anyone wants to learn more about your work professionally in the realm of investments or your nonprofit or anything about your world, where can they go?
Yeah. So two websites. My investment banking business, mergers and acquisition business, is vercor.com. That's the website. Unravel Groups is very simple, unravelgroups.com. So both of those places they can go to learn more about what I'm up to.
Right on. I like that painting over there.
Yeah, is it the one with the waves on it, the
Yeah.
sound waves on it? So that's actually a sound file that was converted to a painting of a message from my wife to me. So
Wow.
anytime I can put my phone up to it, and there's a little code on it, and it captures the audio file that's a message from her to me. So yeah, I love that. I thought it was a pretty
That's
special gift when she gave it to me.
that's genius. How did that idea come about? Who did that?
I don't know how she did it. Honestly, I've had it for a long time now, and I don't even recall. I'm not even sure where she got it or how she did it, but it was just I thought a genius idea and very
Oh,
very
wow.
touching, very
That's
touching.
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
I love
hey
it.
man. Yeah. No, that's great. I've been admiring it the whole time, and the fact that it's more steeped and deep than that, it's like,
Yeah,
wow. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It really, and I love the one behind you, by the way. That's incredible.
Thank you. That's actually a painting of mine. My wife's a fifth grade teacher, and that actual painting is in her room. So I'm a visual artist as well.
Yeah. Oh, you actually did that.
Yeah, I painted that. Yeah.
Wow, that is. I mean, I could see so many different. There's so many different elements in that could be discussed. I'm no art critic, that's for sure, but I love that. That's really cool.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, send me your address and I'll send you a sticker. I just got a badge done up. I'll send you a sticker in the mail.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah,
So you'll have it in physical form. Mark, this
yeah,
has been great, man.
yeah. It
Thank
has
you.
been.
Thank you so much for taking time out. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe. It was fun chatting with you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right. See you. Bye bye.